Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Daily Faded. My name is Eric Hetzel. My friends call me Hetz. And thank you for joining me tonight. We are going to get faded, and we're going to talk a little bit about the news of the day. Yet another day in the coronavirus crisis. Yet another day of absolute madness from Donald Trump. But we're not going to spend too much time talking about Trump tonight because I think there's other more interesting things to talk about. But first, as always, that was weak sauce. All right, so there are a lot of frontline workers. The Daily Faded number 37, April 27th, 2020. I'm just going to do this because I do it. I've been doing it every day, and I know you're used to it by now. We have over 3 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the world, over 211,000 deaths worldwide from COVID-19. And over 1 million cases in the United States now. 1,010,356 was the last count that I saw. And 56,797 Americans have died from COVID-19. These numbers make me very sad. And I have to tell you that I spent some portion of the day today being a little bit depressed about the situation, a little bit depressed about the scenario. We have 45,000 cases in California and 1,776 deaths. David Dane of the American Prospect tweeted this weekend, "This is going to be an unemployment checks because of outdated state unemployment systems that can't handle the overload." And thank you for that thumbs up. And I think he's absolutely right about that. Bernie Sanders tweeted, in reference to a Business Insider article, Bernie Sanders tweeted over the weekend, $282 billion. That's by how much America's billionaires increase their wealth, any money at all. Yesterday, on Meet the Press, Deborah Birx gave a masterclass in propaganda. She, she was up against Tim Russert, so that's not Tim Russert. I apologize, Tim Russert, wherever you are. She was up against Chuck Todd, and that's not exactly, a worthy opponent for someone who I think is very smart, is Dr. Birx. But she couldn't answer any of his questions. It was humiliating. And she evaded everything. She's a complete Trump propagandist at this point, and she's not to be trusted. Really, I mean, watch it on YouTube. It's amazing. I would show a clip if I was that technically advanced, which I will be soon. I'm working on it. Trump said over the weekend, or tweeted over the weekend, oh, by the way, I was going to have a light on here, but it's too bright. So I tried it. It was just too bright. And so I have to go a little bit darker than I want to be. Anyway, there you go. That's my production update. Yeah, so I got a little pessimistic today thinking about this whole thing. And, I don't know kind of what to listen to or who to trust at this point. I know I don't trust anything Trump says. I know that. And I know I don't generally trust the Democratic leadership either. We're going to get to Joe Biden in a little bit, but Joe Biden put Larry Summers on his team. We really want a return of Larry Summers to a position of prominence in the United States government after the 2008 bailout, after they gave so much money to Wall Street, completely unaccountable, after the deregulation that he championed in the 90s, after he was the head president of Harvard and said women can't succeed in science and math. That's awful. He supported the Keystone XL pipeline. I mean, Larry Summers is terrible. There's little difference between having Larry Summers in the White House and having Steve Mnuchin in the White House. So no, I don't trust the Democratic leadership either. And I find that's very upsetting. Apparently they're going to be focusing more on reopening than healthcare or something. I don't know. It didn't make any sense. Today's press conference was really weird. I'm not going to talk about it for very long, but I'm going to tell you that only one person asked him about injecting bleach. Only one person. And I think it was a very fair question about was it South Carolina governor saying that, or was it the Maryland governor? One of them saying that they had to field all kinds of calls of people calling to ask if they could use bleach to prevent COVID-19, like take it internally, which obviously you can't because it will kill you or do very bad things to you. But I've been listening to Michael Osterholm a lot, and he's in Minnesota, and he's worked for several governors of Minnesota. I think I mentioned him last week, and I think 4 presidents. And and his basic way of looking at it is we're in some version of a lockdown until we have vaccine or we have herd immunity. So, and obviously herd immunity means 60 to 70% of the population having COVID-19, which also does not sound like a particularly good idea. So, yeah, I mean, the inability of our government to respond to this situation, I think that's what gets me down. The New York State Board of Elections canceled the Democratic primary in New York today, or did they do it today? I think they did it today, which is absolutely outrageous. Now, I don't think anyone should go out and vote in public. I think that would be insane, and I've been pretty clear about that with the elections that have happened since this crisis started. But of course, you should have a vote by mail primary. There are a lot of people who work very, very hard and want to vote for who they want to vote for in the primary. And I think it's disenfranchisement. It's basically preventing Bernie Sanders from getting delegates. Now, that said, I also understand that they have a massive budget crisis and they're cutting everything that they possibly can. And I think that probably has as much to do with this as anything else. I'm willing to accept Occam's razor explanation that they just don't feel like they can afford it. But no, I also don't accept that because I do think that there's a very specific rationale for it. And the Democratic Party has said that they're a private corporation and that they can pick a leader in a back room. They pick the nominee in a back room. They said that in the lawsuit when they got sued by people who had made donations in 2016 because of the way the DNC was run by Hillary Clinton. So people deserve the right to vote, and This is a massive act of disenfranchisement. The correct call would be to have the primary, but have it be an all mail-in ballot. So supposedly Donald Trump, now I'm interchanging Donald Trump with Joe Biden. Don't get me wrong, I'm not making a false equivalence between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. But I can't pretend to be excited about Joe Biden, and we've got some stuff to talk about tonight about Joe Biden. But first, there's something I want to read to you. So first, I'm going to smoke a little bit. Oh my God, I just started watching Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. Not a politically correct film. Not at all remotely politically correct. But in a very lowbrow humor way, it is very funny. So, yesterday in the New York Times, in the opinion pages, a woman named Kenya Slaughter wrote an opinion piece. She worked at Dollar General in Louisiana. It's titled, "I Never Planned to Be a Frontline Worker at Dollar General. No barriers, not enough staffing, low wages. They seem to not know there's a danger to employees." Alexandria, Louisiana. I've been working at Dollar General here for more than 2 years. My manager is wonderful and I have a great relationship with my customers. But when I took this job, I never planned to become a worker on the front line of a pandemic. I closed the register many nights, so I know my store's revenue has practically doubled since the coronavirus hit. But we workers haven't gotten any extra money, even though we're risking our health. I'm afraid we'll become more of a target for robberies because everyone knows we don't have any security and people are getting desperate. The unemployment office is overwhelmed, so a lot of people haven't gotten any relief yet. And of course, I'm afraid to catch the coronavirus. More than 300 customers come in each day. I'm constantly reminding people to stay 6 feet apart, but there's no way to limit the number of people in the store, especially when I'm the only person working. We've always had a lot of homeless customers, and I make sure to treat them with respect. But it's scary to have so many people in close quarters who can't take care of basic hygiene, especially since we don't have enough protective equipment. We receive small shipments of gloves every couple of weeks, but always run out within a few days. We didn't receive any masks until mid-April. There are no plexiglass barriers around the registers. When someone coughs, I joke with them, we have a strict 1 cough per customer limit to let them know I'm watching and they need to keep their distance, but I'm on edge throughout my shift. I was bringing my own mask to work with me, and I got a sinus infection, but I didn't want to call out because I don't have any paid sick leave, and 92% of surveyed Dollar General workers believe they don't either. That's worth. Now that my 4-year-old daughter Harmony's school is closed, I have to quickly line up childcare when I get my work schedule. My manager posts the schedule in advance, but it changes often, so I always have to check it. My better half has worked the same job for 10 years, and our family counts on that income. Since he works nights, I try to make sure he gets enough rest during the day. It would be great to work only when he can take care of Harmony, but I was hired with open availability, which means I have to be ready for any shift. If I tried to limit my availability now, my hours would probably be cut in half, and we can't afford that. Like many parents in retail with unpredictable work hours, we rely on close friends and family members to watch Harmony while I'm at work. Harmony's aunt, my cousin, my sister, and even my hairdresser all pitch in. But I try not to ask anyone to watch her more than once or twice a week. Several of them have their own children, and Harmony is on the autism spectrum, so she has special needs. She's still potty trained, and her language skills aren't as developed, so that can make it more difficult to care for her. For all of this stress, Dollar General is planning to give me a one-time bonus of $300, which will be much less after taxes. Part-time workers will only get half of that. A one-time bonus is insulting when I still make just $10.75 an hour, and some of my part-time coworkers just $9 or $8 per hour. The company's chief executive, Todd Vassos, earns more than $10 million a year. The bonus doesn't even compensate me for the time I spend cleaning myself and my clothes after work so I don't get my family sick. It doesn't come close to fair compensation for the risks we're taking. And we can't count on stable hours or income, even though dollar stores are incredibly busy right now. As lead sales associate, I'm officially full-time, but I'm not guaranteed any hours. My manager tries to make sure I get at least 32 hours each week, but some weeks I work just 29 hours. Things can't go on like this. We deserve hazard pay and better scheduling. We deserve to be taken care of, just like we do for our customers. Well, I personally am of the opinion that Ms. Slaughter is an American hero. I was so moved when I read that piece. I just read it this morning. To me, she's the face of, she's one of many faces of this pandemic. There are a million faces, literally. But right now, for me, she's the face of the pandemic because she so eloquently describes how bad a situation it is. And for her to be making only $10.75 an hour to risk her life interacting with the public that way, that is what we call a cruel capitalist system that is out of control. It's absolutely out of control. And one of the ways dollar stores keeps everything only costing $1 is they never have more than one or two people working in there, at least in my experience going to such places. Her work conditions are unacceptable to begin with. The bottom line is unacceptable. That's someone who obviously needs to be paid $15 an hour. But then there should be federal bonus money. There should be federal hazard pay for people who have risked their lives, for all of us. I don't think it's too much to ask for. We sent all the GIs to college, and look at what that did for the American economy. I'm not saying this would goose the American economy that way, but nonetheless, these workers deserve hazard pay. I know the workers at my Ralph's, and I like them very much. They take very good care of me, and they're incredibly nice. And they're working really hard to keep it clean, to keep people socially distanced, to keep themselves safe. And, just as an aside, I did actually watch Trump's entire press conference today, and I made a ton of notes. But I'm not going to talk about it because he's an asshole, and it was all propaganda and bullshit. Complete propaganda and bullshit. I will tell you this, they went on and on and on about testing. And as Pac-Man pointed out on his stream when I was watching it, we're like 40 marvelous things about Donald Trump. And I was kind of ragging on all the CEOs as I was making my notes. But then, God, is YouTube kicking people off again tonight? I don't know. Anyway, some of my friends have said that they drop out in the middle of the stream. So I'm wondering if that just happened. Anyway, I didn't give the Kroger guy shit because I'm really impressed by how Kroger's handling it, at least in my personal experience. But God damn it, these people need hazard pay, no doubt about it. Sorry, I'm a little slow today. Like I said, today was a difficult day. I don't think, this is just my personal opinion, so take it for what it's worth, okay? I don't think we're going back to anything resembling normal anytime soon. And I think the virus is not going away. I think there will be a second wave, and I think there will be a third wave. And I don't trust a thing coming out of the federal government. I don't trust a thing Donald Trump says. I do trust Gavin Newsom and Eric Garcetti more. But I'm just afraid when I saw those pictures of Huntington Beach this weekend in Orange County, California, that just fills me with fear to see all those people crowding together on the beach. It just does not seem like they're taking it seriously. And I would hate for them to have an uptick in cases and correspondingly in deaths. And I don't see the kind of government aid coming from the government that we need. A lot of small businesses are falling through the cracks again already. Supposedly the new money that they signed at the end of last week for the Small Business Administration was going to come through today, but there were computer problems and the money wasn't able to start going out or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't have all the details on that story, but yeah, so I felt like I had to read that. I just felt like I had to read Kenya Slaughter's editorial because she's afraid, like we're all afraid, and she's trying to take care of her family, like we're all trying to take care of our families. And to me, it would be a lot scarier if I lived in a state that was about to reopen. I get nervous when they even talk about it. Although you have to talk about it because you do have to do it eventually. And wouldn't you know, Ludwig is out in the middle of the night trying to bark up a storm and ruin my live stream. Hold on. Ludwig! Okay, he came running out of the night quickly, not chasing night squirrels anymore. So we need to talk about Joe Biden some more, because Joe Biden is now more credibly accused, in my humble opinion, than Brett Kavanaugh was. And when I say that, I don't mean it to downplay Christine Blasey Ford's accusation against Brett Kavanaugh, which I believe 100% personally. I believe them. Obviously not proven beyond a reasonable doubt, but I believe Christine Blasey Ford. I also believe Tara Reade, who has made her accusation against Joe Biden. And Tara Reade, when she was interviewed by Katie Halper, said there were three things that she cited as corroborating evidence. One was that she had told her brother, another was that she had told her best friend, and the third was that she had told her mother, and her mother had called in Larry King and said to Larry King, my daughter's works for a powerful senator and has had some problems with him, but out of respect for him, she didn't say anything. What should she do? Larry King didn't really answer the question. But that video has surfaced. On August 11th, 1993, Larry King aired a program titled Washington, the Cruelest City on Earth. This is by Ryan Grimm in The Intercept. Toward the end of the program, he introduces a caller dialing in from San Luis Obispo, California. Congressional records list August 1993 as Reade's last month of employment with Biden's Senate office. And according to property records, Tara Reade's mother, Jeanette Alphamus, was living in San Luis Obispo County. Here's the transcript of the beginning of the call. Larry King, San Luis Obispo, California, hello. Called through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him. King, in other words, she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the one person she worked for, she didn't tell it. That's true. So I've seen that video now, and that's real. You know, that's real. And that's really Tara Reade's mother. Now, yeah, she doesn't say sexually assaulted. That's a point that some of the centrists on Twitter, who wanted to jump to Joe Biden's defense once again, had to say that's how they defended Joe Biden, one of the ways. Someone else came out and said, well, there's never been a complaint against Joe Biden. She said she wasn't able to get anywhere. She tried. But I think that former enemy of progressives, Peter Dow, hit the nail on the head when he tweeted about this. Difficult thread. Now, Peter Dow, if you don't know, was one of the big online trolls for Hillary in 2016 and seemed to be making a living out of attacking Bernie people. I'm grateful that you're here with me. I hope you're enjoying a drink or a toke yourself. So Peter Dow was like major online troll for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And in the intervening years, he had an epiphany and he came to see the light. And he always says that he went back to his progressive roots, that he had been a progressive and that he felt like he lost his way a little bit with Hillary Clinton. And, sorry about that. I guess I'm a little stoned. Skywalker OG, very real indica, very real. Anyway, Peter Dow. So now he gets shit from centrists who think he's a traitor. Difficult thread, hashtag Biden should withdraw. 1, I respect the will of the voters. 2, but new information has emerged supporting Tara Reade's account of being sexually assaulted by Joe Biden. 3, credible rape accusations are disqualifying, or we have no moral standards. 4, defeating Trump is not optional. 5, to avoid potential catastrophe in November, Biden should withdraw. 6, Warren, Harris, Klobuchar, Buttigieg, Castro, etc. could replace Biden. 7, Bernie can restart his campaign. 8, we can reboot the primary and give voters a choice. 9, this is the ethical position and the smarter strategy to beat Trump. 10, we lose all moral authority if we embrace the lesser of 2 accused rapists. 11, polls show other Democratic candidates can win. That's true. That's been consistent all along. Principles matter. We can beat Trump and protect our values. Hashtag drop out Biden. Addendum 1, I made the same arguments about Al Franken and Brett Kavanaugh. If Me Too means anything, it cannot be applied on a partisan basis. And I think that's absolutely true. It cannot be applied on a partisan basis. To go choose the lesser of 2 accused rapists. People are not going to be thrilled about that. And it's not good electoral politics if you want to beat Trump to move forward with Joe Biden. Now, I don't actually know what the Democrats can do. They canceled the New York primary, so the primary route doesn't seem like it's particularly possible. Maybe they could cancel enough primaries so that Joe Biden never gets the majority of delegates and they are forced to a second round, and then they will go and pick Kamala Harris. I don't know. I really don't know. I also don't know who they should pick if it's not going to be Bernie Sanders. I would think the person who came in second should be the person that they pick, but that's just me. Anyway, I wanted to touch on those 2 subjects tonight. There was a lot more in the news today that we could have talked about, but those were the things that jumped out at me. So thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on Daily Faded. I'm Hetz. Please subscribe and like, and I'll see you tomorrow.